Hey guys, you're welcome to my channel. I hope all of you are doing great and fine wherever you're watching from. Please make sure to subscribe, share and like this video, and don't fail to leave your thoughts in the comment section. So, having been a graduate of history and international studies, I came to Lagos and I'm like, oh, where exactly can I find historical sites? And my journey took me to this area of Badagry where slave trade was practiced, and I visited this Seriki Faremi Will Abbas slave museum, and the journey was just so worthwhile, guys. It really brought to light the sufferings of slaves that were captured in the old Oyo Empire and then transported across the Atlantic Ocean. This very place that I am at, the Seriki Faremi Williams Abbas Slave Museum, is actually one of the slave cells. The story had it that Seriki Faremi Williams Abbas was a Muslim, actually was a slave that was captured and later freed on a condition that he should mingle, he should serve as a middleman in slave trade. In other words, he was like someone that bought slaves from the people that captured them, from the hinterland, and then sold them to the whites at the coast at Badagry. So guys, let me just take you around and let my tour guide tell you the story. Okay.
And the compound used to be the slave cell.
Okay.
So this man used to own the compound. He was a slave that returned as a middleman.
Okay, was a slave before?
He was. So his condition...
Seriki Abbas.
Yeah, the condition was for his freedom was him to be buying and selling the slave to his master in Brazil. So when he was 6...
My apologies, guys. My tour guide wasn't that audible. I think it's someone that doesn't really speak out so loud. So he was trying to tell me who Seriki Abbas was. He was a slave that was captured and taken to Brazil. And on getting to Brazil, probably was a very brilliant slave. His master, Mr. William, then bought his freedom, and on a condition that he's going to go back to Africa, that is Badagry, and then save as a middleman for the slave trade. And that's exactly, he agreed to that condition and then came back and started saving as a middleman, buying slaves and then selling to the whites.
They did trade by barter, exchanging people for this item. So the value of one umbrella was 40 slaves. We have the surviving umbrella.
Hold on, you said the value of one umbrella was 40 human beings.
40, and we have
Jesus.
The surviving umbrella here. The cannon, the big one for 100, why this one for 40 slaves. The bottle of gin, alcohol, for 10 slaves. Then the mirror and the bead, depending on how they bargain or negotiate. Ceramic bowl, known as breakable plate, for 10 slaves, and the gun for 40 slaves. So when it became cheap, it was given the kettle and the brass dish as a gift. The value was 10 slaves each. We are going to be seeing 2 out of the rooms because the family of this man, they live in some of the rooms today. So let's go this way.
Okay.
The chains here were used on the slaves. These
are the real 1800 slave chains.
Most of them are over 400 years.
Are you kidding me?
And they've been used since then. Most were dug out from the compound because after the trade was abolished, they buried them. So the other one to brand the slaves, to write names on the body of the slaves. Why this is ankle.
Which one was used to brand names?
This one that's standing like this.
That one that has spiral.
Yeah. This one for the hands and this other one for the legs.
Yes.
So they're meant to be locked together.
Yes.
And this is on the slaves for the mouth. They are not allowed to eat or talk while working on the plantation, so they are locked this way. There was a door here that is going to be locked.
It is a cell.
Yeah. So in here, 40 slaves were kept.
What?
That's the little ventilation for 40 people.
Inside here, 40 slaves were kept.
It's also known as the dark room because it was always dark and slaves were meant to stay here for 3 months.
Please say that again.
Slaves were meant to stay in this compound, in
this very room.
Yeah, for 3 months.
It's a slave.
Pending the arrival of the ship.
Oh my God.
So if it takes longer, they will wait in here. So when the ship is around, that's when they lead them out across the lagoon to the point of no return, where the ship taking them away will be waiting for them.
Okay.
And here we have some bowls, ceramic bowls. Each were exchanged for 10 slaves. We have 5 bowls there, which were for 50 people. And these are cowries, the money we spend there. And here we have the other relics, the brass dish, the mug, the kettle, and a bottle of gin from 1873. Each were supposed to be exchanged for 10 slaves, but he got these other ones for free, but the bottle was exchanged for 10 slaves. Here we have cameras we use for some pictures that we see today, and those are gramophone.
These cameras were brought in by the whites.
Yeah.
Easy.
The Seriki.
The Seriki,
Yeah.
the man that escaped slavery and then turned out to be a slave dealer.
Yeah, he became a middleman.
Okay.
So, and these are his children. Beside him, there's a photocopy of his handwriting, so he was very
Where is
educated.
it?
Right there.
This one?
Yeah.
This is handwriting. My God. My God. He wrote so well. It had a very beautiful handwriting. Okay. So later on, guys, my tour guide took me to where the regalia of Seriki William Abbas is still preserved up till death, and they are over 200 years old and is still preserved. And here I carried this chain. I was told is a chain, one of the chains that the slaves to carry on their neck, especially when they are, walking or traveling. So this is one of the chains, guys. I tell you, it was very heavy when I carried it. And outside is the well. This well was dug in 1847. Is that old? A very old well. I'm told the water doesn't run dry, and as a matter of fact, I had a test of this well. I used the water. And here we have the Chief Palace, the Seriki Williams Abbas Palace. This is where he used to have his meetings with the village council, the Obas, and this is like a court where they make decisions. All right, so it's a very big place. Over there, the chamber is where his office was. He must have been a very brilliant person to be freed and then sent back to be a middleman for slave trade. Here is where his remains lies, but this very tomb here is where his last child lies. And here is the remains of the tomb of Chief William Abbas. Meanwhile, the name William came into to be carried by him because his master, the master that freed him, his name was William, so he took after that name William. He was an African, a slave from Ogun State that got freed by Mr. Williams. That's why he had to take on that name. So here he lies in his tomb. So guys, at this point I was done with the tour of Seriki Williams Abbas Museum. I then had to visit another one, which is called the Mumbi Museum. Arriving at Mobi Museum, I met some other visitors and I had to join the lecture. Like, I had to join the explanation by this very eloquent tour guide, and he went ahead to explain everything about the slave chains to us, and here we are, guys.
We are not born there during the slave era, and this is the original chain because I've traveled all over the
site where the slavery took place in Africa. This is where we see the original chart. Let's have children of those that they feel the weight. So the movie family derived their name from Kolama. Yoruba called Kolama to Obi. Their forefather, whose name was Odogun, facilitated the trade. He used to offer the European like Oyinbo Remi and Mobi, and the villagers are calling him Mobi Mobi, and the name just moved viral. People started calling Mobi, and the family have to adopt the name as their royal and surname, and they are the one ruling this quarter called Boycon, and that's a picture of the current movie of Badagry. And this one were used on these two children, where the parents is working, they join two of children together, they started and so they would stop their parents. We were told that back then in Badagry, children were given out as extra PC, general like 500 slaves, they give it to children as a gift, and they put this one inside the fire to write the name of the owner of the slave on the checks or at the back. We call it brandy. Because the slave kept in the barrack from where you're coming from, we are owned by different owners. For identification, you have to brand it. They also used to pour free, they put inside the fire, they draw the body. They put another hose here. Before they will fix the padlock on their mouth, they will draw the two leaf out from this mouth gallery wall before they fix the padlock on their mouth so that they don't be able to come in. Or they use this called iron muzzle to cover their mouth. Now, like this one is torturing. As you can see, my hand cannot go through this. If I'm slave, they have to break the bone, they break that, they remove this screw, and they still be standing on the platform, they fix it on the tall tree like that, they screw the back, they will drill the platform and they will be hung, suspended. Along the line, some of them used to die. If they died, okay, because they are property of their master. Now, let's see. Come on, so we look at the chain.
This was his on your name.
Yes, that's the.
Yes, yeah, something like that. Yes.
Wow.
You can see how it is. So, it used to deform.
For the males?
Both male.
Males and females
And
together.
that's the slave.
Both gender.
Their hand are tied at the back. If they want to take water, they dip their mouth in the water this way.
Could you
And
see?
if the water gets so
Please
low,
see.
if the water gets so low, they have no choice. They still have to come and they used to call them and blood will the water. Imagine blood will cause the next day to consume the water.
Slave trade, if you ask me, guys, was a very horrible trade. I can't really wrap my mind around people, my ancestors, being treated like they were in their own very land. But the thing is that slave trade actually thrived because there already existed the system of slavery in Africa. There were situations where people were condemned as outcasts. There were situations where people were sacrificed, like human sacrifice thrived in Africa. Like for instance, let me say in the Oyo Empire, old Oyo Empire, then if a king dies, it was to be buried with a live human being. When he's going to be buried, he's supposed to be buried, or he was to be buried with a live human being. So that's why the white people came, and it was very easy for them to penetrate and then successfully carry out this trade. But it was a very horrible, very, very horrible trade, if you ask me. So guys, if you've watched this far, I want to say thank you for staying tuned with me to see for yourself what slave trade was like. Please make sure you subscribe, share, and like this video if you've not yet. And stay tuned for the second part of this video. That is my visit to the slave market at Badagry.